Desiree's Dream. Chapter 17. A Birthday to Remember. The autumn morning air carried a crispness that invigorated the senses as Desi prepared for the day's adventure. She stood by the crackling fire, its warmth battling the chill, her hands wrapped around a steaming cup of coffee. The aroma of the roasted beans mingled with the scent of burning wood in a metal drum Joe had lit, creating a cozy atmosphere. Desi's anticipation was palpable as she awaited Alex's promised surprise. The morning sun shone gently through the alleyway, illuminating the walls in a soft golden hue. Desi sat there, her eyes wide with curiosity, a slight smile playing on her lips as the realization of her birthday dawned on her. It was a day she had been eagerly awaiting, not just for the celebration but also for the promise of a surprise from her beloved Alex. Restless with anticipation, she scanned her surroundings, seeking clues and hints of what the day might bring. Her gaze fell upon the map of the Fort of Lost Souls. It sparkled in the morning light, casting tiny rainbows across the walls, captivating her attention. Desi rose from the plush cushions, the silk robe sliding against her skin, a sensual caress that made her shiver slightly. The room's scent, a blend of lavender and a hint of musk, teased her senses as she approached the map. As she neared, the map seemed to glow, its surface shimmering like the iridescent scales of a mythical sea creature. Her fingers trembled as she reached out, almost afraid to touch it, as if she were about to awaken an ancient enchantment. But she touched it, feeling the cool, smooth paper. When she turned, holding the map's allure intensified as Desi's eyes followed the meandering lines of creeks and rivers. These blue veins of the land seemed to pulse with life, their ink flowing like the very water they represented. She imagined the soothing sound of the streams, the gentle lapping against rocks, and the splash of fish breaking the surface. A drop of coffee accidentally spilled and landed near one of these creeks, and Desi swore she saw the parchment shiver as if the water had awakened a pirate spirit. But the broken sign, with its solitary word "Bloon," captured her imagination the most. Desi's mind conjured images of a desolate landscape where a lone signpost stood, its wooden frame weathered and broken. Was it a warning, she wondered, or an invitation? Perhaps it led to a forgotten village, now little more than ruins, where the wind whispered through abandoned streets. Or maybe it was a sign to a hidden lake, where the loon's haunting calls echoed across the water, and the setting sun painted the sky in hues of purple and gold. Desi's heart quickened at the thought of exploring these uncharted lands, each step a promise of discovery. Was Alex's surprise connected to this mysterious map? Would they journey to these enchanted places, uncovering secrets and forging new paths? Her contemplation was interrupted by Alex's voice, warm and rich like the morning's first brew. "Good morning, my fair explorer," he greeted, his eyes sparkling with amusement and something more. Desi turned, a smile playing on her lips, her heart already anticipating the day's events. "This map," she said, her voice filled with wonder, "where might it lead us? What secrets will we uncover along the way?" Alex's smile grew, and he stepped closer, his presence as comforting as the fire's embrace. "The map is a whisper of the wonders ahead, my dear. It's not the destination but the journey and the surprises we find within it that matter most." Desi felt a thrilling rush through her veins as his breath caressed her ear. She knew, without a doubt, that this day would be full of excitement and wonder and that Alex's surprises would make this adventure unforgettable. Alex walked over, yawning, and sat between Desi and the slumbering Beauregard. A mug of hot coffee was placed in his hand, its steam curling upwards, and the cup's warmth contrasted with the chill that had settled in the air. As Desi's fingers brushed against his, a jolt of electricity coursed through Alex's veins as he glanced up, meeting her gaze, and their eyes locked for a suspended moment. The world around them seemed to fade away, leaving only the intensity of their connection. Sensing the shift in the atmosphere, Beauregard rose from his slumber and positioned himself between the young couple, his presence grounding the moment. Desi's voice broke the spell, echoing through the alleyway. "Well, "Dear Alex, had surprise have you planned for me today?" Her tone, though loud, held a hint of playful curiosity. Still reeling from the electric touch, Alex leaned back, sipping his coffee. "Go get dressed," he said, his voice gentle and full of affection. "I'll take you to your surprise." In a flash, Desi darted towards her living quarters. She emerged moments later, transformed. The red dress hugged her figure, accentuated by the morning light filtering through the fabric, highlighting the curves of a young woman. The hat, perched atop her head, added a touch of sophistication, and the shoes, a gift from Joe, completed the ensemble. Desi stood before Alex, a vision of elegance, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Alex's breath caught in his throat as he took in the sight of her. With a shake of his head, he regained his composure and took Desi's hand, leading her towards the wagon, where Droopy, their trusty mare, awaited. Ever the loyal companion, Beauregard trailed behind, his eyes alert, knowing another adventure was about to unfold. Reaching the wagon, Alex turned Desi towards him, his hands gently resting on her shoulders. He gazed into her eyes, the color of emerald of ocean blue, and whispered, his voice carrying the weight of his emotions, "Desi, you are so beautiful." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with unspoken desires. He longed to kiss her and taste the sweetness of her lips, but he held back, his restraint a battle within himself. Desi, sensing his inner conflict, felt a twinge of disappointment. She had hoped for that tender kiss, but it remained elusive. Aware of her disappointment, Alex helped her into the wagon, his touch now gentle and comforting. He assisted Beauregard, now a slow and aged companion, and took his place beside Desi, his heart beating in rhythm with the anticipation of the journey ahead. As the wagon set off, Desi's eyes sparkled with excitement. She clung to the seat, the wind playing with her hair, and her hand firmly held her hat in place, determined not to let it fly away. The dirt roads of Mobile's outskirts beckoned, and Alex urged Droopy to gallop, the sound of hooves blending with the wind. Miles passed, and Alex handed Desi a scarf, its fabric soft against her skin. "Cover your eyes," he said, his voice conveying mystery. Desi obliged, removing her hat, placing it between her knees, and tying the blindfold securely in place. The world around her went dark, and she sat, holding her hat, a symbol of her anticipation. The wagon rounded a bend, kicking up a cloud of dust, and came to a halt. Desi reached for the blindfold, but Alex's hand, gentle yet firm, stopped her. "Wait," he whispered. "I want this to be a surprise." Desi remained still as Alex stepped down from the wagon, his footsteps crunching on the gravel. She heard the familiar whine of Beauregard as Alex helped him to the ground, and her curiosity grew. The air was alive with the scent of wildflowers, and birds singing filled the silence, a gentle melody accompanying her anticipation. Without warning, a hand touched her arm, and she jumped, her heart racing. The old wagon groaned as Alex's calloused hand reached out, his voice warm and reassuring. "Allow me to assist you, my dear." Desi's heart fluttered with anticipation as she turned, her eyes sparkling beneath the blindfold. With a gentle touch, he guided her foot, his rough fingers brushing against her silken slipper, and positioned her atop the weathered step. As he encircled her waist with his hands, Desi's breath quickened. She felt his solid presence, steady and comforting, as he lowered her with effortless strength. Their bodies moved in unison, a subtle spark of electricity igniting where they touched. Alex's grip shifted to her hand, leading her forward, his hold protective yet gentle. The gravel path crunched beneath their feet, each step a sensory explosion for Desi. The air was alive with the sweet fragrance of honeysuckle and the earthy aroma of freshly cut grass. Blinded, she relied on her heightened senses, the mystery of her surroundings tantalizing her curiosity. He paused, his grip loosening as his hand rose to her blindfold. "Are you prepared for this moment?" His voice was soft, his anticipation mirroring hers. "Oh, I am." Desi's voice trembled with unguarded eagerness. With deliberate care, Alex lifted the blindfold, revealing a flood of sunlight that made her squint. Gradually, a wondrous sight emerged, and Desi's expression transformed as realization dawned. "Behold," he said, his voice steady, "your new beginning awaits." The sun-drenched meadow unveiled a quaint log cabin, its presence captivating Desi's gaze. A gentle breeze carried the scent of wildflowers as she approached, her eyes tracing the intricate details of the rustic cabin. The porch, adorned with vibrant flower pots, seemed to welcome her with open arms, each pot a burst of color against the wooden facade. Goosebumps peppered her skin as if her body were reacting to the emotional charge of the moment. A single tear escaped, trailing down her cheek, reflecting the sunlight as it journeyed. Her gaze slowly swept across the picturesque landscape, a tranquil stream meandering through the meadow, its gentle murmurs accompanying the rustling leaves. The freshly plowed earth, rich and dark, awaited the promise of seeds and new life. Two outhouses stood side by side, one painted a charming pink, reminiscent of a blush on a maiden's cheek, while the other, a muted gray, stood in humble contrast. Desi's movements were deliberate as she turned to Alex, her hands reaching out to embrace him. She engulfed him in a hug, her emotion pouring forth, causing him to exhale in surprise at the intensity of her affection. The warmth of their embrace contrasted with the cool fall air. As abruptly as she had hugged him, Desi pulled away, her fingers lingering on his arms for a fleeting moment before she dashed inside the cabin, her footsteps echoing against the wooden floorboards. Alex remained motionless, allowing Desi her moment of discovery, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. Minutes stretched, each filled with anticipation, until Desi reappeared, her face radiant with joy. Her smile stretched from ear to ear, revealing a happiness that needed no words. "When can we make this our home?" she asked, her voice laced with eagerness. Alex's response was swift, his deep voice cutting through the countryside air. "Let's return to Mobile, share a hearty meal, gather our belongings, and embark on this new journey before nightfall," he proposed, his words as steady as his presence. Desi's excitement was palpable. She rushed to the wagon, her skirts dancing in the breeze. Alex lifted Beauregard quickly and with practiced efficiency, settling him in the wagon. He then joined Desi, taking his place beside her, and with a gentle nudge, urged Droopy into a steady gallop down the dusty path, leaving a trail of golden dust particles floating in their wake. The midday sun hung high above as the couple, Desi and Alex, made their way through the bustling streets of Mobile. The town was alive with the clatter of horse hooves and the chatter of its inhabitants. They entered the cafe, a welcoming sanctuary to tame their hunger, filled to the brim with the aroma of fresh bread and sizzling meat. Her eyes sparkling, Desi grabbed a seat at a wooden table, the surface scarred with countless meals. She wasted no time, attacking her plate of fried drumsticks and crusty bread with fervor. Her ravenous eating contrasted with Alex's leisurely pace. He savored each bite of his fried chicken, relishing the crisp skin and tender meat. A smile played on his lips as he observed Desi's haste, knowing full well the impatience simmering within her. As Alex finished just half his meal, leaving a lone chicken leg, Desi sighed, satisfied, discarding a bare bone onto her now empty plate. "I'm done," she declared, her voice holding pride and eagerness. Alex, ever the gentleman, delicately placed his napkin beside his plate and slowly, ever so, wrapped the remaining chicken in a linen handkerchief. Desi's eyes followed his every action as if she were willing him to hasten. Her gaze burned with anticipation, and a soft smile played on her lips. With deliberate slowness, Alex rose, his tall frame casting a shadow across the table. He reached into his pocket, the jingle of coins echoing through the cafe, and placed a golden disc onto the table, its shine a testament to their hearty meal. Then, with a final glance at Desi, he wiped his mouth with the napkin, his movements deliberate and unhurried. Desi, unable to contain her excitement any longer, sprang from her seat, her chair scraping against the floor. She stood, poised like a racehorse at the starting gate, ready to bolt. "Well, sweet Desi," Alex's voice boomed through the cafe, "are you ready?" Desi was at the door instantly, her footsteps quick and determined. Alex followed at a more leisurely pace, stepping into the bright sunlight. He found Desi perched in the wagon, her eyes gleaming with determination. With a graceful motion, he unwrapped the handkerchief, revealing the succulent chicken, and offered it to Beauregard, the faithful companion waiting patiently by the wagon. As Alex settled beside her, Desi's body language spoke volumes. She itched to urge the horses forward, but glancing at Alex's relaxed demeanor reminded her that rushing him would only slow them down. Instead, she leaned back, her eyes fixed on the road ahead, content to let Alex set the pace as they embarked on the next leg of their journey.